zaczęło się. Well, hi, good afternoon, Clara. Good afternoon, Susanna. Good afternoon to all. And we start the white wines from Czech Republic and Clara Kolarova. This is difficult to say. Clara Kolarova. It's not easy. And Susanna. Hello. Hi.
Hi. So maybe I'll let Zuzana start because she's much better in Polish than me.
To witam wszystkich z Narodowego Centrum Wina z Czech. Ja jestem Zuzana, jestem koleżanką tutaj Klary, sommelierki narodowej i skupiam się na eksporcie. Pomagam organizować działania proeksportowe dla naszych winarzy.
Wow, this was impressive. Everyone speaks Polish there.
Dziękuję. Postaramy się. Staramy się.
Very well. Dziękuję bardzo, Zuzana. And Clara, the floor is yours, right?
Yes. It's gonna be more difficult because my Polish is really bad, but I understood everything. So it's good that I thought that it will be nice to present or to be here with Susanna. If there is maybe a comment in Polish, we can kind of deal in both languages. And if you have any questions, I will maybe put in the chat email that is very easy. It's export at National Wine Center and .cz. So if you have any questions, maybe then Susanna is willing to answer in Polish. So that will be very smooth. So let's go through the presentation and through the wine. So we have a short start to show the basics of the Czech Republic, and then we will go with the tasting. We have 12 wines. I think we should be fine in maybe 1 hour, and then if you have any questions or comments, you can of course follow and ask, and also during the presentation. I can see now that we also have one of the winemakers with us. So can she say something, Piotr? Piotr? Okay, well, let's see if he gets back.
Let me try. I can't promise anything for him.
It's the last one who said hello, Stanislava Rudolska.
Stanislava, let's try. Yeah.
Okay, but we have we can start with the next slide maybe. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the National Wine Center, and so that's where me and Susanna we work together, of course, with many more colleagues. And Dagmar is behind, so she's the marketing manager and director actually. And so we deal with export, the three of us, I would say mostly, but a lot of effort of all our colleagues go into the National Wine Center Wine Saloon. So this is the picture you can see on the slide, and it's a beautiful exposition of 100 wines of Czech Republic that are very carefully selected in 3 rounds of tasting. So it's really, like you can bet on the quality. And not only the wines are great, but also they represent perfectly the Czech Republic in total. So you can find all the wine regions, different wine styles, different grape varieties. And it really is a great mosaic if you are trying to understand maybe the Czech Republic. So you actually come there. It's open, I think, every day besides Monday during summer. So if you plan a trip to Czech Republic, of course, we would love to welcome you to be there. You buy a program and you taste 100 wines in 2 hours time. So that's quite a long time. So you can really go in a detailed tasting through all of them. And yeah, so this is what the National Wine Center does to promote Czech Republic together with, of course, our export. So let's go to the position of Czech Republic. So you have been through many tastings, but I think it's always important to put the Czech Republic on the wine map, because Just like Poland, we are not on it because we do not export so far enough wine. So just to put us on the map, we of course border Germany here, Austria, Slovakia, and then Poland. And the latitude we are on is 49 degrees. So this is very important because it it tells a lot about the character of the wines. As you all can see, it leads through France, great wine regions like Champagne and Burgundy. And if we will talk about the Bohemian part of vineyards, this is even 1 degree above 48 parallel. So it really determines the grape varieties we use and also the wine style. So the basic information about Czech Republic, so there is a potential of what you see, 18,500 hectares. So far, we are hitting there. Of course, with the problems with the consumption now, let's see how it goes. But hopefully, we will reach the 18,500 soon. And just to show how the wine sector is really going forward, you have the numbers from 1989 when we only had 11,000. So since then, there has been really a big move towards, I would say, really deep understanding of how to make great wine. And you can also see there is quite many of wine growers, nearly 14,000 of them. But those who would have bigger vineyards of, let's say, more than 5 hectares is only 196 growers. So you can see there is many small ones, which is of course nice if you want to maybe explore Moravian vineyards and go and taste from really local producers. But those that we would say are the big players, so it would be the 200. So as you can see from the parallel, so the climate is cool. Of course, this is changing a little bit. Now with the climate change, we all notice that, but still the wine style is characterized by that. So the majority of the grape varieties we blend are whites, 72%, and only one fourth are reds. So that's 28% of the production. So we have a small mistake there. Sorry about that. It's of course varieties. And so the total of the grape varieties is 35 white grapes and 26 different black grapes. So from these you can make classic wines. It's all of those that you know from international market, but also some that are the local ones. We will talk about those later. Many of them are pewees, so we are quite strong in producing our own grape varieties, but the next or the first two wines will be about pewees, so we will talk about those later as well. So maybe just a view on what is happening now, what is trendy. So the new plantings for the year 2021, so the majority is our aromatic grape variety called Białe. Surprisingly enough for me, Pinot Blanc, which is a grape variety that is difficult to sell, but is always giving great wines. Then Welsh Riesling, which is a grape variety that we consider to be really our small jewel. Then Merlot and Hibernal out of the pewees. So the yield per hectare is quite low at the moment, 5.5 tons per hectare, which is really low, but we are in the future really focusing on being a little bit more productive in that. Let's see how it goes in maybe a few years' time. And the wine production was about 6,000 hectoliters last year. So for the consumption, of course, the beer rules. Still, we drink 150 liters of beer per head. Only 20 liters of wine, but still, this is a good number and still slightly growing. If you compare it to Europe, that is definitely not going up, but going down from, I think it was 54 in majority for Italy and France, and it's now going down to 36. So we have two wine regions, so that's important to say, Bohemia and Moravia. Although in Bohemia, we only have really like tiny amount of hectares, only around 700. And the rest is in Moravia, but we will discuss that later on. So just one picture that I think is the one that we like to show very much, because this is Palava Hills. These are Palava Hills with one of the most precious vineyards. We will also talk about those a little bit later. So then if we talk about the grape varieties, so still the strongest one would be Grüne Veltliner. You know, this is a very typical grape from Central Europe, and as Moravia is bordering Austria, and of course for 400 years we have been part of the Ugro-Austrian monarchy. So I would say the grape varieties would kind of copy those in Austria in majority. So although it's declining, and Rhine Riesling is really, I would say, the one that used to be on the 6th position, but is now second. Also Miller-Thurgau, which you probably know from also Austria, but maybe more Germany, under the name of Rivaner. So this used to be the most planted grape variety, but also now is declining because people very often remember the bad wines that were made like 30 years ago from this grape. So the poor thing, you know, has suffered from its history. But there is a new, I would say, movement, and the new Miller-Thurgauts are really great wines, and we try to support this grape variety because it gives really wines that are juicy and easy to drink and great wines. So then we follow with the Welsh Riesling. So I will talk much more about Welsh Riesling, because this is a grape variety that we really like a lot. Then Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, and then only comes the Blaufränkisch. So the first red, then Sauvignon, and the second red wine is Matovo-Vřenecké or Saint Laurent. And we will do a small session on the rosés and red wines in, I think, sometimes in autumn. So let's not talk about those. And then Palava, which is our indigenous grape variety. Palava was crossed in Czech Republic. And this is a grape variety that we really like to show, and it gains a lot of respect and interest from the market all over the export markets that we go when we present it. So for the next slide, maybe we could discuss a little bit the wine regions. So as I said, the majority of the wine regions is here on the border with Austria and Slovakia. So we would call this region Moravia. And then here around Prague and in Prague itself, we have the wine region of Bohemia. So if we compare it, maybe to make a better understanding, so this could be one big vineyard somewhere in Chile, or maybe even Bordeaux. 700 hectares is not that big, really. As for the Moravia, we have it's about 1/3 of vineyards that are in Austria. Okay, so let's move to the other one. I will discuss the wine regions of Moravia a little bit further down when we go with the presentation. So for Bohemia, I put just few pictures. This is Mělník city. It's a city that is really historically connected with winemaking. From the 10th century, this was here. We had one of the first vineyards that was planted by Ludmila and Saint Wenceslas, who is the patron of winemakers and also of the whole Bohemia, was the one to work on this vineyard in so long time ago. And then in 14th century, the influence of this place was even bigger, thanks to Charles IV, the big emperor, who actually invited winemakers from Burgundy. So there is a hidden stone where you can read a sign from winemakers from Chambertin. So there really is a good history and a good reason for the plantations of Pinot Noir and Pinot Blanc Chardonnay in this area. So we would subdivide those the Bohemian vineyards in Mělnicko and Litoměřicko, but that's maybe too much in a detail. If you ever come to Prague, you can always call me and we can have a small trip through these two regions. So I have here two more pictures. So the first one here, you can see it's actually Prague. So if you only have a little time and you come to Prague, you can even taste wine and visit the winery straight in the city. It's 5 hectares, a small plot called Salapka. And here the other picture is from Kutná Hora. So this is also 1 hour from Prague, and we will taste one wine very soon. I assume that you must be already thirsty. So if you want, you can already pour the first 2 wines. So it would be the Young Funk wine, and then the other one would be the Donau Riesling. So you can start pouring them. I will finish my small talk about the regions, and then we will focus on the wines. I think we all look for a nice glass of wine. So the first one would be actually from Kutná Hora. And I will then let Stanislava to tell you a few things about this wine. So then if we go to Moravia, we divide Moravia into 4 different wine regions. So if we go from the blue one called Znojmo, you can hear the city of Znojmo. This region is producing mostly white wines, focusing on Riesling, Grüne Veltliner, and Sauvignon Blanc. The soils here are a little bit lighter, more sandy. But here on the border with Austria, we also have granite soils, which really gives to the wines a very special character. And we will talk about Znojmo later on when we do the tasting. The green part here is called Mikulovská wine region, after the city of Mikulov, which is really stunning place. Again, I would recommend to visit. This is also the area that we really focus on white wines with the Pálava Hills that you have seen on the first picture. The red one, or the violet one, is our region for red wines. So the soils here are a little bit more heavy, more clayey. There's a bit more of loam, black soils, and a little bit more fertile soils. So here the queen is Blaufränkisch, and we will taste many wines in the next session. And then the last one is the biggest. It's I would say the one that is the most broken. There are small little villages and towns which have a great and special terroir. And also here you can find great white wines with a little bit warmer climate, but a great cooling influence from here, from white Carpathians that are really bringing this beautiful acidity to all the wines that come from, I would say, this part of Slovácko. So a few pictures, and here we have the numbers if you are interested in those. But I would say really the wine regions would be quite equal, with Znojemsko being the smallest one. And about the wine style, so in Czech Republic, we definitely use the varietal wine. So what you read on the bottle is not the place of origin, but the majority would be the grape variety. Just like in any other wine region, you can add up to 15% of different grape variety, and you can still state the grape of the majority. So a Riesling, for example. So then we would also start with the appellation system, because of course this is something that is moving the wine world. We all think, and we all, I think, understand that the varietal is maybe not as important as the terroir and as the care of the winemaker, the grape varieties that are planted. So there is an appellation system. So on the bottle, you can read the abbreviation of DOC. So this stands for the AOC in French, and VOC, VOCG in Italian, and it says wines of original certification. It would be the best translation into English. In Czech, it says vína originální certifikace. So we will be also tasting some of those. So here, the picture of Znojmo. I said this is really the region of white wines. Here you can see the river of Dije, which is curving beautiful meanders and creates a lot of beautiful terroirs. And here, city of Znojmo, that is really a hidden gem. You can find there a beautiful Gothic cathedral with the paintings on the wall from 12th century, with many other places, and it really is a beautiful place to go. Then Mikulovsko and the Pálava Hills, which I have already shown on the one of the first slides. So also a great place to go. Here, the soils would be more based on limestone with a little bit of loess on top. The amount of loess is, of course, distinguishing the character of the wines. Then Velkopavlovecko. So here you can see the soil is slightly brownish, and this is the rain of the red grapes. And Slovácko with its beautiful cultural history. And this is really something that is not yet discovered. And many small winemakers here are doing great wines, and it's also really stunning to visit. So yeah, the wine saloon, I already was speaking about that. And let's go to the first two wines. So I promised we start with Piwis. So this stands for the grape varieties that come from the crossing of Vitis vinifera and some other species of wines. And they are, you know them very well, because they are very there is a lot of plantings, of course, in Poland, because they're much more resistant to the diseases than the European older ones. So we start with Vinné sklepy Kutná Hora, which is in the village of in the town of Kutná Hora, that is a UNESCO protected area. And this is the most famous picture here behind the three guys. It's the Church of Santa Barbara. That is really, I would say, the most important church in Kutná Hora. And maybe I will let Stanislava to introduce this wine and the winery.
Well, Clara, thank you, but you do very well. Hopefully everybody can at least hear me. Yeah, so that's a grape variety Solaris. What I heard, it's very known and popular in Poland. It's very easy, drinkable, fruity pet nut. It's fizzy, cloudy, yeasty, refreshing, without added sulfur, unfiltered, wild, let's say. That's from vineyard Nad Kapličkou. The soil is calcareous sediments of the Mesozoic sea in the subsoil, and I think it's quite nice and fresh. I think that's it. I don't know what else to say about Solaris.
Well, maybe you could say something about your winery, because you are very unique, not only in the terroir, but also in your philosophy.
Well, yes, we do biodynamic wines. We are certified Demeter for the moment, still as the only one in Czech Republic. And our winery, I will say, it's not very old. We started in 2002. My father established this winery, and my brother took over his duties in 2005, and we tried to restore the glory of viticulture in Kutná Hora. The tradition dates back to the early 12th century, and legends tells us that it was a vineyard walking monk called Dominic who first found silver, the resource which would soon establish Kutná Hora's European significance. And we try to treat our land without chemicals and very gently, because we would like to keep healthy soil for our children. And so all our production is biodynamic, and hopefully you will like it.
So maybe there's a good to say something about the label. So it's called the Wine Punk.
Yes, the label. You will see Solaris as a grape variety on it. You will see Young Punk as a young wine. Like we have 3 different. How to say, we have 3 different labels or way what we would like to show our customers. One is punk, what means pet nuts, unfiltered, wild wines. Then we have basic wines with the label of San Barbara's Church, and then we have top labels with Schwarzenberg herbs on it. But this one is that's wine punk, Jan Punk, wild wine.
Yeah, so I really like this wine as it's really fresh, 12% of alcohol only. So you can see there is no numbers in sugar and acidity, because you don't need to have the precise numbers if you want to sell these wines. So it's quite funny. You can tip maybe how many residual sugar there is, but I would say it's really bone dry. And what I really like about this wine is that it's not so aromatic. Sometimes when you taste Solaris, it really is quite expressive. And I think this is really a lovely wine to drink, to start the tasting with. What do you think, Piotr?
It's a fresh summer drink, drinkable wine. Yeah.
There's also Kralów Punk, right?
Yes.
Carlos Punk. Yes, you're right.
And the third one is
we do different sort of Carlos Punk. We had Muscat Ottonel, we had Pinot Gris and Riesling as well. Muscat Ottonel, we have couple of bottles left. The same for Riesling. We still have some Pinot Gris, and next one is coming in next harvest.
Okay. Well, and you will be present in Warsaw in 2 days, right? I mean, the Kutná Hora, Winne Sklepy Kutná Hora. You come to Warsaw.
Today we present only this Solaris, Young Punk, as a fresh summertime drink. What I think it's quite nice, and I think Solaris in this wild mood is quite nice. It's really fresh, and everybody likes it. So I think it's nice. Yeah, what do you think about it?
Well, I like it personally. You know, I'm a bit too old for the pet nuts, but I like this one.
Okay.
We have some questions in chat coming about women winemakers. I believe this is a question asked by a woman, and about some festivals.
Yes, we will send maybe a list of the wine festivals. There are quite many. So we will give you. We also have the question about the graphs. So this is taken from the yearly, like annual statistics of the Czech Ministry of Agriculture. So it's in Czech though, but we can also send you a link to a very nice book. We have a really nice booklet on the National Wine Center webpage that you can download in PDF with all these maps. So we can send that all to Piotr maybe, and you can then distribute those to everybody who is interested in.
and this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel and on our site.
Yes.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you much, Stanisława. Are you coming to Warsaw, or this is someone else from the winery?
What do you mean by that?
By in person, are you coming? No, it's not you coming to Warsaw.
Oh, you mean Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday. Yes. No.
Wednesday,
I will
yeah.
not. I will not. Only Jakub. Only Jakub is coming.
Only Jakub is coming.
Because, yeah, it's quite busy time now in the vineyards. It's everything is growing like crazy, and so we need every hand to be there.
Yeah. Well, perhaps next time, right?
Hopefully, it will be my pleasure.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Good.
Or
Thank you
or
very
in
much.
Kutná. Well, thank
Or
you,
in Kutná Hora.
Stanislava.
Or maybe in South Moravia as well. There will be possibility to see us, definitely.
Yeah, but you're from both. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much.
So enjoy the last few words of Stanislava, because she's the last winemaker who's actually connecting, because all of the other ones are working like crazy in their vineyards. So we were a bit unlucky with the timing, but I think the wines can speak the best. And they all said that they have 100% confidence in me. So I hope I will do the presentation as great as if it was done by them. So maybe we could move to the other wine, which is now from Vinařství Špalek. So a different peewee called Donau Riesling. So we are here now in Znojmo, as you can see the arrow, in the small village of Schaldorf. And this is a winery that has quite a history, as you can see. So the few vineyards they already had in 1970s, but of course they started to do wine in bigger volumes in only later on. And it's now 3 generations. So you can see the old Mr. Špalek, his 2 sons, and the 3rd generation in the blue skirt, I would say. So this is also an interesting winery that is 100% certified in bio, and they have beautiful labels. As you can see, I saw this label for the first time today, and I think it's really very nice, quite attractive. So maybe to explain the name, so you can see the name says Špalek. It's like the piece of wood. Zuzana is searching for the name in Polish because that's above her great vocabulary. But we will tell you. So it's a
Dziennik. Jest to możliwe po polsku?
So it's a small piece of wood that you cut, and you can also see this in on the logo of the winery. And this is a Donau Riesling. So for the Donau Riesling, this is actually their first harvest, and because it's now quite in discussion to grow all these peewee grape varieties, because of course these are grape varieties that are not properly saving us, but they save a lot of money, and it can be easier to work with them during the whole year. So not saving only money, but also the nature and especially the soil that is not so stuffed by the tractors. They don't have to go into the vineyards for so many times. So they bet on Donau Riesling, which is a grape variety that is coming from Austria. And it also has a good name because with the problem with many of the peewees is that winemaker or the consumers they don't really know what to expect. Nobody knows what like Sauvignon Gris should taste like. And for the Donau Riesling, this is quite straightforward because actually the grape tastes like Riesling. And as you can taste from this wine, this is a very different wine to the young punk we tasted, with much more residual sugar and but a good acidity. And this is really something that you would drink chilled for younger generation, maybe that is just entering the wines. Let me taste it. Yeah, so from what I have tasted so far, this is a great example of Donau Riesling. We now have one in the National Wine Saloon that is the bestseller. It's actually really like #1 in sales because it gives this beautiful, Riesling fruitiness with good acidity, and people really like that. So this comes from a single vineyard called Kraví Hora, so the Cow's Mountain. There is a lot of gneiss in the subsoil. This comes from the Czech Massif, the Bohemian like plateau that is origins in is quite young. It's volcanic soil that is very important for the Czech wine region, and then it goes underneath and only goes up on the border with here in Znojmo region. So this gives quite a lot of minerality to the wines and this bright acidity. So for this wine, as we said, this is the first vintage. There is a cool fermentation of 18 degrees. There is not it's really quite straightforward wine that was bottled freshly and is now a really great wine to enjoy for summer, I would say. So I would now go to the second fly, which are the sparkling wines. And for the sparklings, I think there is I think everybody likes sparkling wines now, or I do, and I think everybody must like them too. Therefore, we add them to all of our presentations. Also, because of course the trend of drinking sparkling wines is great, thanks to Prosecco, which is taking also up the consumption of not only Prosecco, but all the other sparkling wines. So in Czech Republic, winemakers are making quite many of Frisante. So this would be wine that would have added CO2, which is something that we do not export, and you will probably not find it in on the market in Poland. But the wines that we can see more and more are the sparkling wines done by the traditional method, and they are really gaining a lot of also respect, I think, from the consumers, because the quality is really, really high. So the first wine we will be tasting is from Obelisk Winery. So this is in Mikulov wine region, you can see. So it's actually the vineyards are in the village that we are in now, in Valtice. And Obelisk is a quite young winery, I would say, represented by Philip, who is the head, the talking head of the winery. He's doing literally everything there, driving tractor, deciding the plantation of the vineyards, and going everywhere. I honestly don't understand how can he does that, but he's really doing it all. So it's a young winery, also a beautiful piece of architecture, and the place is really quite well known for all the parties, and you can also have weddings there and many things. They have quite a lot of wineries, 60 hectares. So there has been a lot of investment into the new vineyards. They are really trying and carefully thinking about the grape varieties to plant. But they do plant quite a lot of Pinot Noir, not only because the warming up climate, but also because they really try to focus on the sparkling ones. So here in Valtice, we are not so near to Palava Hill, and therefore the amount of calcare is not so high as on the real mountain of Palava. So it's a little bit richer soil here, but from the the taste of the wine. It still gives beautiful acidities and quite like mineralic wines. So for this one, it's a pas dosé or brut zero, whatever you want to call it. So there is 1.4 grams of residual sugar, quite high acidity, but that's what we all expect to be sparkling wine that is non-dosé. And this wine comes from the D Plus vineyard, so you can see it's quite high planted, 5,500 plants in hectare. And you can see it's not from the south facing slope, so they are really thinking in deepness about the grapes and about the good vineyard to take the grapes from, to retain acidity that even in our sort of cool climate is now the biggest problem of all the winemakers, to keep the acidity. So this is done, of course, by the traditional method, 24 months on the fine lees, and the blend is Pinot and Chardonnay. So you can see the building. It's really beautiful, and I didn't mention, you could have read that the whole philosophy here is to be to treat the philosophy as being a chateau, although it's very modern chateau. So all the vineyards are really near, so the time to proceed the grapes is really short, only 3 kilometers around the winery, and it's you have 3 floors, so it's really very gentle in the processing of the wines, and they also like to work quite a lot with quadris. So you know, this is a vessel that has been maybe even more popular like 5-10 years ago. Everybody in Czech Republic had his small qvevri. So this means these small amphoras that are made, of course, from like the idea, or they came from Georgia. And we actually have a qvevri club, which is something that I never heard of anywhere else. There was a really big movement, and there has been 2 camions coming from Georgia, and nearly every winemaker had his small qvevri, and they all now have them in the buried somewhere in the gardens. Probably not using them as eagerly as they thought when they were ordering their first wine, but we have many qvevris. But here they actually really do work with them a lot. Yeah, so this is a pure, sparkling with with the picture of champagne in the hat of the winemaker, with beautiful fruits. And it's even though the acidity is quite high and the sugar content is really low, it still is quite like ripe and filling in the mouth. I really like that one. So one of my favorites. And then we go to the other sparkling wine, which is made by a small winemaker called Roman Fabik. So you can see this I think it's the only one for this session that comes from the red grapes area from Velkopavlovicko. And he doesn't work with red wines at all. So it's also why we have him in our session. And he's, I would say, a Sauvignon freak, a young guy that really was looking for something that would make him unique. And he finally ended up with focus on Sauvignon Blanc. And the only red grape variety he has is called Cabernet Moravia. Maybe you came across this. It's a Czech grape variety that is really tricky in the vineyard. So maybe it's interesting for you to try it sometime. So he's really small, only 7.5 hectares. And what is interesting or I think what is interesting is that he really is focusing on Sauvignon, and I never believed how many different wines you can make from Sauvignon Blanc, even sparkling wine. And he has like 4 different single vineyard Sauvignon Blancs, showing really the terroir, because the vinification is the same, stainless steel, cool fermentation, staying on the fine lees, really focusing on the terroir to come up. And then he works with the different barrels, so he would have different, wines from new oak and used oak. And the sparkling wine would be like his new project, showing that you can also make a great sparkling wine from an aromatic grape variety. So for the vinification, this wine is again done by the traditional method, 24 months on the fine lees. A little bit more of sugar here, a little bit lower acidity. And this comes from one single vineyard that is called Navíslunní here. He has quite a lot of calcium, so it brings the high acidity in the wine. And what is interesting, or I think it's it was unique because he does his sparkling wine alone. So we have many people in Czech Republic who would do this by a service, that you would prepare the wine and then give it to somebody who will take care of the production, because not only it desires some like special tools to do that, but also because it takes place and you have to wait for the wine. But he decided that he wants to have everything under control. That, I would say, is his second name, controlling everything. So his cellar, if you go, is like perfect. It's all clean, very well, maintained. And I think you can feel that also in the wines. So I'm personally not a big fan of Sauvignon Blanc until I tasted his wines, really, because he works so much with the minerality and with the terroir that, and the wines are not so much aromatic, or they are not so aromatic, but they are a little bit more, I would say, pulled back, and they show more the flavor profile than the punchy aromas. And I think he's really perfectly mastered this grape variety. So that would be for Roman. If you have any questions, I can see that you like this one. It's nicely balanced. Yeah, I think although it's lower acidity and higher sugar, it somehow feels a little bit fresher than the one from Obelisk. That was a little bit browner, a little bit more creamy. So really, 2 very different wines, both really great quality. So let's go to the Grüners, because we were thinking a lot, of course, how to put the Czech white wines into one single webinar. So we said, although Grüne Veltliner is privileged maybe to Austria, we have many of those, and I think they are a little bit forgotten, maybe also because there is such a pressure from Austria. But I think we do some really nice Grüners with a good terroir. So as I said from the beginning, we have this Neumo region that is really focusing on this grape variety. Also because it borders with Weinviertel. So, in Weinviertel, I think 75% of the vineyards is Grüne Veltliner. So there's also quite big concurrence. You just cross, I think Austria is like 5 kilometers away from this winery. So you can have a really good comparison. And some of the wines that we produce are, I think, fairly facing the quality towards the Austrian wines. And both of the Grüners that we will be tasting actually are from this region, only a little bit like maybe 3 kilometers away from each other, and different vintages. So the first wine that we would like to taste with you is Białe and Jäger. So this comes from Novi Saldorf. And so you can see the two guys, Białe and Jäger. They're really the funny guys. I was sad that they have to run the tractor because they always say many stupid jokes and it's always really funny. They have a great winery, or actually a great cellar where they created a small wine bar, and they do really wonderful dinners, inviting many like really top chefs, and it's always a lot of wine, a lot of fun, a lot of songs, and a lot of laugh with them. So they, I would say, the taller guy is the winemaker, Jarda Jager, and the smaller one is the one who does all the talking and all the fun, Kamil Białe. So they only have 3 hectares of vineyards. You can, those who are familiar with numbers, it doesn't really equal the production. So they work with many small producers around them, and they buy quite a lot of grapes. So for this Gruner, it's a young vintage, 23. So 23 vintage was not was quite a difficult one in because it was important when you harvested the grapes. Jarda, he is really very careful about acidity, so he was picking the grapes quite early, and then only came the rain, and with the rain there came some botrytis, and then there was it was quite warm, and so like some of the 2023 wines can be a little bit heavier on alcohol and a little bit higher on sugar levels. Not for this one. Jarda, he loves his wines dry, and he was for a long time working in Austria. So I would say you can really feel this style. So for the soils, as I say, in Znojmo, you have this border between the sand and the alluvial soil from the river. And then you have a lot of this gneiss and granite that comes from the Czech Massif, that comes from Bohemia and then goes up here. So in this wine, they are working with both type of soils. Schatz is the one that is the loose and rich soil that is giving a little bit more of a body and of the aromatic profile. And then Weinberge, which is much more on a granite, on the volcanic soil. So you have both. And this wine, just like the other one, is bearing the abbreviation of VOC. So you can see this slight green paper strip that actually says that this wine has come through a careful tasting. And usually for this appellation, the wine should be fermented in stainless steel. Although, of course, some of the winemakers like a little bit of volume, and they would maybe add a small part that would be aged also in older barrels to give it a little bit more of body, and then keep the freshness and acidity, but make it a little bit more volume wine. Any question, Piotr?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to start this discussion. So, what do you think, guys, about this wine? Huh? About Berlińskie Zelene or Gruner? How do you like it? Me personally, I think it's a very nice, very sweet, fruity apricot nose. Especially the third nose is really, really nice. And what about you? Anybody?
Anybody?
Or they might be all dead. Hey.
So
I
I will maybe talk about the second as well. I think this clearly shows the difference in the vintages, with the 22 being a little bit less high in alcohol, less maybe ripe, less sweet. And I think this would be more about the consumers, expectation of the wine. So the first one from Białe is a little bit more like approachable, a little bit more for people, a little bit more like pleasing everyone with this like really ripe fruitiness, but great minerality at the end. It's really shows a good length. As for Taya, so this would be the second wine, which is a winery. As I said, you can see the arrow is pointing nearly the same way as before. They are a little bit more focusing on real dry wines. This would be the winery that really is saying they are doing wines for food matching and for really like low sugar everywhere. You can feel that in the two wines, definitely. So a little bit more work with the fine lees on the second one, showing maybe a little bit more of the minerality and of the grip of the Veltliner. Shows a bit more of the white pepper and of the really like spicy tones. As for the first one, this is much more on the fruity side. And Jakub Smrčka, so the younger guy that you can see on the picture, is the young winemaker of the year. He's really he's really great talent, doing great wines. All of the wines show extreme quality and neatness. I would say it's really what I like about wines, that they are so precise. And it's the winery of the year of 23. They have a beautiful winery that is new, only 3 years, I think, with a great restaurant, really nice hotel. And you can see on the sugar level, the second wine is like bone dry, 0.6 grams of residual sugar. So here it's only stainless steel, no added barrels to give a little bit more of like body to it. But here he really is showing the minerality of Znojmo. And yeah, I mean personally, I would go for this one. It's a little bit more, but this is really like personal, so it's really up to everyone. I really like this dryness with a lot of like aftertaste and the spiciness. I think if you say white pepper in a Gruner, then this is the wine where you can find it. And to answer the question, the Veltliner is not generally great for aging. But it can age well. But usually, especially because of I would say, the philosophy in Austria, where they drink all the Gruners really young, there has been maybe an opinion that you cannot age a Gruner Veltliner. But this is changing also with the winemakers that are giving it a little bit more care, maybe using a touch of oak. In Austria, they work a lot with acacia wood, so all this gives to the Gruner maybe a little bit more of body and a little bit more of ageability. And if we talk about aged Gruners, then I have to mention Wachau Gruner Veltliners. If you open them like 20 years age, it's incredible. You can smell like umami and a lot of like really like it's so the wines are so like strange with also some like dried fruits, but really very like concentrated on the spicy side. And I think yeah, we have to learn maybe a little bit how to work with that. For the orange wines, I wouldn't say this is a great variety because of the spiciness. If you do a longer maceration, then it can get into the slightly more bitter side. Also, yeah, slightly more tannic, and I think it doesn't have enough fruitiness. So personally, I wouldn't go for Gruner. Food-wise, for the first one, I would do something a little bit more not sophisticated, I would say. Maybe a fish on a grill with a good salad. If you would add maybe like small fruits in the salad, like melon maybe or mango, and then serve it with the fish or with chicken. It would be nice. For the other one, I would go for something that would be a little bit more based on the flavor of like tender that would be just grilled, you know, with just just pepper and salt and maybe some vegetables. And I think this would play very well with the fish. But also because of the acidity and because of the low sugar, also pickled fishes. This is something that we do and you do as well in Poland. So maybe this could be a nice option. So let's do the next wine, which is a Riesling. So the two Rieslings we are comparing are from one subregion. They are both from Mikulov. And we start with Sonberg, which is a winery that is, I would say, iconic in many ways. If you have been to Moravia before, I'm sure you have visited this one because this is really the must-see one. Not only because of the quality of the wine, but maybe more because the architecture and the beautiful view on Palava Hills. But wine, of course, is what matters for us. So you go there also because of wine. So you can see this is really bordering the other region. So Roman Fabik is right across, like maybe 3 kilometers from Sonberg. So we are really on the edge of the two wine regions. And why I was talking about Sonberg and my first picture is not the winemaker, but the building, is because this was really the first winery that was created with an idea of making the culture of wine nicer and creating something special. So they were the first to do a competition for architects, and Josef Pleskot, who did this, was the first. He won, and I think this is really it's a internationally famous architect who really understood very well the needs of the winery. And also, as you can see on the roof, you have the small waves. So this shows the like the flow of the wind and also the curves of the vineyard. So it's really beautiful. And the building was created with the intention that it can get older. So I think it's really a great, idea that as older it gets, the nicer it is. So it's like with wine. So I really like this idea behind of the architect that it really is a part of the vineyard. And so here again, this was unique because this was the first chateau style winery. So they first were for a long time buying the vineyard that is called the Sonberg. So this is Sonnenberg, so the hill of sun. And they for long had been the only ones working with this crew. And the production is not small. They have many different like levels of wines, but they are really focusing on Riesling and on Palava. We only had 2 spots for Palava, so, and they are actually sold out of the young one. So it's really wine that is short. They are really short of. So that's why we have chosen their Riesling. So again, on the Riesling, you can see the abbreviation of VOC. This one stands for the appellation of Mikulov, where you can find wines from Riesling and 7 different grape varieties. And the other specialty they have in Sonberg is their straw wines. So this also, and again, connects to the roof, because under the roof you have the special things to put the grapes on, and because the wind flows through, it dries out the grapes. So there is a third idea behind the roof. So for this Riesling, it's a little bit broader wine, I would say, 13.5 alcohol. And the vinification is in stainless steel, but they also like to give it a little bit more of deepness with some of the wine going through a stay in the big barrel. They have two of them, and so they would rotate the wine and give it every time 3 months in this barrel, just to give it a little bit more of oxidation and a little bit more of breath and development. So this has been for a long time one of the top Rieslings, and still is. So for the 22 vintage, I already mentioned it was slightly cooler than 23. You can smell slight touch of the petroleum notes on already. And what is important, and I didn't say on this picture, you can see the great view on Pálava Hills again. So here you can see them from the other side, because all the famous pictures are usually from the other side. So we will see the more famous ones afterwards. But this is nice because this also shows the presence of the nature. It's the artificial lake called Nové Mlýny that also creates kind of special terroir for the vineyards around in Mikulov wine region. So this is the other side of Pálava, and now we go to winery Volařík. So they were a little bit sad because they love the Welsh Riesling and they are pretty famous for them, but we again only had 2 spots for Welsh Riesling. So we said, no, you had to give us your Riesling. But I think the Riesling is really also great. It comes from the other side of Pálava, and they're also not a small winery. It's really the dream of Mr. Volařík, which you can see in the winemaking costume. And then the winemaker is working there for a long time, and he's also quite talented. Coming from a family of 3 brothers, all of them are very successful in the winemaking. So this is really a history of winemaking in their family. So as I said, we are now purely on Pálava. In 2007, when Mr. Volařík was founding this winery, he already understood something that many others didn't, that the soil is really important, and he bought many great vineyards. And this is, I would say, now his treasure, really, because the wines bear a very important touch of the terroir. And the wine that we are tasting is a little bit higher in sugar and in alcohol also, but also in acidity. So this comes with this vineyard of Ořechová Hora that every year tends to get botrytis on the grapes. So you know what botrytis makes to the grapes is that they would shrink a little bit, the water evaporates, so this ends and leads to higher sugar content in the grapes, but also the acidity. And so this wine is really like sweet and sour and very concentrated, a powerful wine that comes only from stainless steel, 5 months on the fine lees. And there has been a really short maceration only because of the botrytis, which gives to the wine this honeyed and like flowery touch. Yeah, very complex wine. Thanks to this botrytis, it has something, maybe one more layer up if you compare it to Sonberg. But I would say the first Sonberg Riesling is a little bit more of a Riesling. As for the other one, it's a little bit more Riesling from Palava because of this botrytic touch. So yes, in Sonberg, they put grapes on straw, but they then make a special wine that is called the straw wine, and we are not tasting this. You have to go and taste this wine in the winery. Yeah, so how about these two Rieslings? I mean, I would say they are, I recently had a tasting in 5 different wine regions on Riesling, of sub-regions in Czech Republic. And I think that the style of the Moravian Riesling is a little bit more to the side of Austria than Germany. They're a little bit riper, a little bit more like Wachau style than Rheingau. That would be a little bit less fruity, less sweet, and more mineralic. But yeah, they are very expressive, both of them. So any comments on the Riesling? Which one do you like better? Maybe you could just put 1 or 2 in the chat, and we can go back to it afterwards. Yeah, the second one shows much more of the floral character that really is brought up to the wine thanks to the botrytis. And as we go to the next 2 wines, we will talk a little bit more about botrytis and about its floral touch to it. So Piotr, it seems like there is nobody actually on the other side. Stupid joke, sorry.
No. You know, it's someone is typing something. No, we are here. Yeah, but
Good.
it's not a proof. It's not a proof that you are tasting. But I must say, I'm quite happy. You don't look like a person fascinated by the Kvevri, fashion. Or I think I'm quite happy personally. I'm quite happy coming back to this to the previous wines. I'm quite happy the Kvevri fashion, Kvevri wave is over.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I think we all are.
Yes.
I mean, maybe not in using them as a vessel, because there are many winemakers who would use the amphoras like Foradori, Elizabeth, or some other winemakers who actually stopped doing the orange wines in it, but they would maybe use it more for aging. And I think this makes more sense to me, definitely. And I think as a material and as it can do a lot of good to wine, but believe me, nearly all of the winemakers, they've turned the Kvevri into the flower pots because they just didn't control the winemaking. So they didn't like that.
It might be a perfect flower box. Yes, I agree. Good. Some comments.
Yes, Fabik is not.
Discussing in full. Yes. A very unique last wine.
Yes, it is unique.
And they like Fabik. Yeah.
That will be the last question. Which one was your favorite? So we have now 2 Welsh Rieslings. Yes, this makes a lot of sense. So for the Welsh Riesling, so it's so important for us that I have added an extra slide to explain maybe a little bit the grape variety. And we also will have 2 very different wines and 2 very different approaches to it. So people often mistake it with the Riesling. Welsh actually means I'm not the true Riesling, so it's the other Riesling. Genetically, it is not connected at all. They share high acidity, so that is for sure. And Welsh Riesling tends to give much more of yielding. So for a long time, this has been called the B variety, using for sparkling wines, because sometimes it's great if you have high yields, because you get no aromatic profile, you get a lot of acidity, and you get a lot of grapes. So this is great for like an easygoing wine, or it's great as a blending partner. So it really had a big like role in the wine in the vineyards of the winemakers. It origins from Croatia, and there has been a big flow now that really puts a lot of impact on the greatness of this grape variety. I think we understood a little bit better where that if you want to make a great wine, you have to really plant it on the top spot, because it's a late ripener, and you can do really many different wines with it, from the really light drinking wines. This would be the way that was chosen by the Austrian winemakers from Styria. They really they harvested very early, produce really light mineralic acidic wines on 11.5 alcohol, showing really the lightness, and the drinkability of it. And then for us, we have chosen the other way. So we plant it into places where it can ripe very well, and luckily it gets botrytis. So so it's a little bit tricky with the botrytis, and this, I would say, the wine world is dividing into two parts. Those who did, they hate it because they cannot say what's going to happen with the wine in the future, and those who like it because the botrytis gives an extra layer of aromatic profile to the wine. And with the Welsh Riesling, it I would say speed up the concentration of the sugar and in the grapes. So you can you can be sure that you will harvest the grapes ripe. So in Czech Republic, we go for the botrytis, and this is really I would say a wine style that was created some 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, by the company called Mikrosvin Mikulov, which is the first wine you're drinking, and they really are like the pioneers of Welsh Riesling. They had a very honored winemaker, and maybe more a wine grower called Mr. Perina, who was the first who really was saying that Welsh Riesling has a lot to offer, especially in Palava Hills. And he said that you need to wait for botrytis. So with their style, the wines, as you can drink, we can start already focusing on the tasting of the wines. They created not only the style of the Welsh Riesling, but also they were the first that focused on different vineyards. So they founded the most famous cruise on the Palava Hills, and the most precious one is the one that we taste now, called Železná, like the Iron Mountain, which has nothing to do with iron content or anything. It was the first vineyard that had iron stalks for the wires on the whole Palava. So that's why they call it the iron site. And you can see here, we are in Železná here. So the view on the Palava Hills we had was from this side, from Sonberg. But the most famous vineyards are actually here in the village of Perna. And we talk about Železná, Goldhammer, Kotelná, and Portmice. So these would be really the ones that produce wines that have a great character and also lunchability, so potential to age. So for this winery, they have a lot of hectares of vineyards, but they sell a lot of them. So they only produce about 200,000 bottles. And with Železná, it always needs a little time on the bottle. It's always very shy, but it's also the very finest of all of them, with this like hints of flowers and white fruits and like white peach, and a great minerality that is showing in the aftertaste, especially. So wait for the aftertaste because it's really worth it. So 22 vintage, we already tasted the Riesling, so few wines of this vintage. So here we are on quite moderate alcohol. If you take in considerance there was 10% of botrytis, which is, as we said already before, concentrating the sugar content. And it has very balanced sugars and acidity. And here they are working much more carefully with the vinification of this vineyard, because this is their like pressure one, the darling of the darlings, and the wine that they always would give most potential to age. So even from the start of the vinification, it's very careful. Everything is done by gravitation. It ferments in stainless steel, but also in a small guns barrique. So this is 124 liters, or correct me if I'm wrong. So those from Tokai region. What they liked on this on the size, and why they actually decided to work with the Gons barrels, because that's quite, unusual. It was quite unusual for me. It was this botrytis character, and they thought that if they are using them in Tokai with the botrytis, or with the Tokai, botrytic grapes, that it could work well also with the Veltriesling, which showed to be truth. Maybe a little bit too concentrated, but they decided to go also on a bigger barrels. So partly the fermentation is also in barriques. So then they would put all together, make it homogeneous blend, and then some of this they would take and let it age in the big wooden barrels. So this is really like worked on wine, with like a clear, aim at the end. It now shows to open. It needs time in the glass, and I love the aromatic profile that is like so elegant but so powerful, without being strong or tropical or anything like that. It just is really balanced. And then if you taste the wine, you always get that salinity at the aftertaste and the beautiful acidity. So thanks to the really high content of active lime in the soil, because you can see even on the picture here that it's really pure limestone. So this would be the Jurassic limestone, like they have in Burgundy, with just because we are here really on the top of the mountain, so there is very like shallow amount of the loam on top of it. It all goes down to the little bit lower vineyards, with where they have much more of loam and less, and the wines are a little bit broader, higher in sugar, of course, alcohol. So this really is a special terroir. So for the pairing, I would go for something much more worked on. Let me think about it. Something with a creamy sauce, maybe a fish, but also a veal. I would even, I don't know, go for pork, maybe. Could be good. We actually say that Veltriesling, because of the acidity, is great for the pork killing, the cracklings, and everything that you do from pork if you if you kill it, the pig, and you would do all the sausages and everything. Asian food could be good, yeah, why not? but probably not too spicy. Not spicy. Low. Maybe not even too like exotic fruit. Something that would be a little bit more decent, because the wine, needs a sophisticated meal, I would say, if I can say this way. So for the other wine, so we go to the woman winemaker. There was a question about them. So here she comes, Dominika. So we are again on the mountain of Palava. And I go back just to show you a little bit the difference. So, well, yeah, let's stay here. So you remember here we have all the famous vineyards. So this is really south-facing, a lot of sun, long ripening period, quite dry. And from the other side of the mountain, it's more facing, of course, northeast, I would say. It's a little bit cooler because from the lake you have a little bit more of cooling winds, and they don't get botrytis, and that's the biggest difference for the wines from this side to the other side of the hill. And also Dominika, she doesn't like the heavy style, so she's thinking in a very different way about her wines. So she's on contrary, picking quite early to have no botrytis at all, and to have low alcohol. So here for the 21 vintage, we are on 12%. And she likes to show the minerality and the low intervention into the wine. So they're quite small. They have 10 hectares, but they only produce little because they are a young winery. They started with few vineyards they have bought, but they are now in the state of replanting and planting new vineyards. So I think they've planted like 4 hectares of new vineyards and replanted some of the older ones. So the production will be much higher. And so Dominika is the head chef of the cellar, with the guy who is actually a dentist, and he believes in Dominika and said that it's a great idea to have a winery. So he's a big fan of architecture and art and culture. And so he really likes the sometimes crazy ideas of Dominika. And the winery is beautiful, and it's all really nice. So if you go there to the winery, you can see the wooden egg, which is something that is really very typical for Dominika. And it also shows, I would say, maybe her attitude towards beautiful things, because this is a piece of art, I would say. It was very difficult to construct that egg from wood, because the wood broke all the time, and the wines was leaking out. And so she had the idea, but it took a while to have a perfect one. And otherwise she's working with stainless steel, with barrels, different size of barrels, but she's always, I would say, she's always on the more like not natural side, because the wines are very clean, but she's always on the edge. So she's always waiting a little bit longer if the wine is going maybe to turn to the good way, before dealing with the wine or adding sulfur or taking it out of the fine lees. So she's always like a step maybe behind the more careful winemaking. So for this wine, it comes from a young vineyard called Maliny, which actually means raspberries, but it has nothing to do with raspberries. It just has this name. And it's really pure limestone. So young wines, you can see, or if you taste the wine, it will be better and better, of course, with as the wines get older. So here the fermentation is spontaneous, only stainless steel. Sorry for the spelling mistake again. No filtration, and there's a really low SO2 amount in the wine. So she's very active in the wine life, I would say, promoting a lot of good ideas with the low intervention into wine, but also she's working very much with trees in the vineyards and with the biodiversity. Although she's not biodynamic or not certified yet, but she really understands a lot that you have to take care, like in Kutná Hora, you have to really take care of the yield, no, of the soil that you are working with. So you can smell. This is definitely a little bit more on the natural side, with the nose being slightly more open. But definitely not oxidized. This really just shows the vinification style. But if you taste it, you know, the wine is perfectly pure in the palate, on the palate. With a wonderful acidity and the minerality. There's really grippy. It's really makes you salivate. It's a great wine for drinking. This definitely goes well with pork, because if you have like the pork sausage with I don't know how you call it, so it's a special Czech stuff, then this goes very well with it. So what do you think about these two wines? They are very, very different, and of course it has been the intention to show you something that is more classic with the Mikrosvin. Maybe a little bit. I mean, the wine is charming because I love the nose. It's like the best Welsh Riesling in Czech Republic for me. But the other one maybe has a little bit more of energy, a little bit more of a grip. Both very high in charisma, I would say. Mm. Yes. So we are, I think, on the edge with time. So let's taste the last two wines that are made from Pálava grape variety. So here we come to something that is very difficult to explain, but I hope I will manage. So we have been talking a lot about Pálava Hills. So we also have Pálava grape variety. It's a local crossing done. Well, the crossing started in 53, but it was added into the grape book in 77. And it's a cross between Gewürztraminer and Miller-Thurgau. So the idea behind is to have the aromatic side of the Gewürz with much higher yield and much higher acidity, of course, thanks to the higher yield, and Miller-Thurgau that is bringing the acidic side to it. And it's one of the, I would say, one of the best grape varieties that were crossed in Czech Republic. We have quite many crossbreeding stations. Also, that's why we have so many local Czech resistance, the pewees. But Pálava is really the only one that made it to be, you know, accepted as successful, because we have now 800 hectares and we could sell much more. So we also try to present it abroad. The export markets really like this wine because it offers very different wines. So from the beginning, Pálava was taken as a grape variety that is the best for sweet wines. And now I don't mean the truly sweet wines, but I would go for the like off dry and maybe medium sweet wines. And this is how it was done for like 30 years. And then Sonberg came and they said, well, maybe it's not a bad idea to try to vinify it in a dry way, because like this we can get the aromatic profile, but we can, make it more drinkable, and maybe it will be better to pair with some dishes. And so they did it, and it was a hit because it was a great wine. But of course, you have to deal in a different way with the grape. So you have to leave much higher yields on it because it's a good ripener. So like this, you can slow down the ripening process and you still keep the acidity. And it's actually great because you have a lot of yield. So that's also a good thing, of course, from the economical point of view. So actually now we are turning like the look on the grape variety, making much lighter wines with this beautiful smell that is unique. And we say that you can smell like tangerines and a lot of spices and lychee and roses, and but with a fresh hint that comes from the little bit higher acidity. So it's really something that we want to focus on. And a small secret to be said, maybe that they also noticed that in Italy, in Prosecco region, and they are trying to plant a little bit of Palava there because it gives a lot of yields, which is important for Prosecco. And it brings this beautiful spiciness and aromatic profile to the wine. So maybe soon we will see more of Palava planted in that region. So for this, for the first wine, we wanted again to show like two like sides of it. So the first is from Dolní Kounice. So this is a really small, unique terroir that is in the Znojmo region, but it's really so far away from the main wine region that it has its unique profile. It's a lot of volcanic soils called granodiorite, and it's like a volcanic soil with a lot of silica in it. And it brings wines, it really gives the wines like a huge acidity. And this is what you can find even in this Palava. Uh, they maybe are the ones who do the most dry Palava that I've ever tasted. So the winery is now called Oulehla, but it used to be Trpělka Oulehla. And so this older guy here is Mr. Trpělka, and so this is his daughter that married Mr. Oulehla here. But it's too difficult to remember and pronounce. So they recently decided it will just be Oulehla winery. They do have quite a good production, and they for a long time do a great uh, ratio between price and quality with a really very specific wine style. So they have always been old school winemakers, which is now being trendy. All their red wines were going through big barrels. They didn't have any small barriques. This has changed, but they have been always using these like big, huge barrels that you will see on the picture here. So now you can see on top they also added some barriques, but really this has been their approach from beginning. So the 23 one is really beautifully aromatic. So you expect the wine to be sweet, but it's just is spicy, fruity, and a great acidity in it. So this is really something I wish I could see more of wines like that made from Palava. So to answer some of the questions, yes, you can do make ice wine from Palava, although it's a little bit more difficult because it's an early ripener. So with and with the lack of cold weather, usually the grapes are already on the soil while they just fell off the grape. So it's much better to use it for straw wine like they do in Sonberg. So very few palavas. And then to the other, to answer the last question. So yes, this is what I was talking about, that with palava, this was really the only one that fulfilled the expectation of everyone. So it's accepted by people. It has a good name. It has good yields, and that's why they would plant it. So I think the name is very important because it's somehow nice for people to talk to drink palava. But also it's really attractive in the nose, in the flavor, and for the many others. Yeah, I don't know. There is Renault. There is I don't even remember the names, and you don't really know what to expect. The same for Dunai. Maybe Dunai is a little bit more. Well, it's a Slovak grape variety to make it right. I think in Slovakia it would be maybe the most planted of the crossings. Like Hron is not so well adapted. The other ones, not really. Yeah. So Cabernet Moravia, very difficult. You really have to work low yields, and truly you can taste great wine of it, but it's actually comes from the father, from Mr. Gloss, who has a specific trellising system. He only has like 2 grapes on the vine, cutting it very short, only onto ice. I don't know what you call it, the buds. So he would really keep it very low in the yield, and also he has very high amount of plants on the hectare, and he has like production of I don't know, maybe 1,000 liters. His Cabernet Moravias are great, but if you plant it in a normal way, it's very difficult to get ripe, and it tends to have many green tones that might not be so bad, because if we talk maybe Cabernet Franc, and it's one of the parents of Cabernet Moravia, people actually like it because of that, but they expect it to be green. In Czech Republic, we have this feeling that if it's green, it's unripe and it's not good. So I think people sometimes do not distinguish between unripe green that would show more on the tannic structure than green vegetal on the aromatic profile that goes together with the grape variety, like Cabernet Franc. So I hope I have answered the question. So then for the second wine, they're also from the red grape wine, wine production area. So I was mistaking you. This is a special Palava, and now we talk about the orange wines, and I think Palava is actually great for production of orange wines. This would be the flagship of the winery, because for many years now they come with the same style of it. And it's a small winery. Again, here we are all bio certified. Beautiful story behind it. The mother of Vojta, who is the young guy, was always the winemaker, and his father, Mr. Valka, behind the tractor, is the one who has been always doing the vineyards, even when he was young, and he's actually the painter of the label. And then Vojta came a few. Oh, here he is.
He's here. Wojtek
He's
is here.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So I will leave the speech to Vojta.
Yeah, Wojtek, so please press the icon of the camera and the microphone, which supposedly is below my face or somewhere else. No one knows. Yeah.
Are you there?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Okay. Wait a
We
minute.
And
can
now
see
we
you
can
now.
see you. Very well. Hello.
Hi.
So it's all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Uh, just a quick info, probably just a quick info about our palava. The idea, like you said, was to make the wine a little bit different because our winery focuses more and more on natural wines. That there was quite a big shift from what my parents did for the last 30 years. And my father, he was always like a natural organic wine grower, but he was never too interested in terms of what's done in the cellar. My mom was doing, she was an enologist for more than 30 years, and let's say since 2018 or 19, I'm taking over the philosophy and changing especially the wines in the vineyards. It was all let's say all done even before that. Skin contact for this orange wine was 45 days on skins, then straight to the barrels, 600-liter oak barrels, and after 1 year in the barrels, straight to the bottles. Basically, that's it. Yeah, total amount of sulfites in the wine is 34 milligrams of total. More and more in the last, let's say, we are doing the orange palava since 2018, and since then, basically, we lowering the amount of production of the conventional style palava and doing more and more the orange wine palava. So that's and we will see this year probably will be no more conventional palava. One of the reasons is that one of the vineyards froze, so we have much lower yields of the palava in general. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you very much, Wojciech. And what do you think, guys, about the wine? Be more active.
Just a
Yeah.
just one more thing, the orange wines, of course, in many times they are, you can do them in a way of let's say the Georgian style, heavier, stronger, higher alcohol, a fuller body, and that's, I believe that's fine, that's amazing if you are an experienced drinker and you know what you are looking for. And I wouldn't give it to someone who's, let's say, I wouldn't give it to someone if I don't know if he's experienced enough, so he's not afraid of the wine. I believe our orange wine, especially this one, we are doing the heavy style as well, but I believe this one is the entry level of orange wine. If you want to try something lighter, softer, lower alcohol, something easier to drink to lure you into the world of orange wines, because I believe yes, sometimes it's not that easy to understand the world and the style of orange wines. Many times, if I gave orange wine someone for the first time, um, it's 50% chance that they will love 50% of the people will love it, 50% of the people don't. That's our experience when we are doing tastings in our winery.
So, some
You will
questions.
see. You are.
Some
Sorry?
questions. Storage ability of this one for this wine, and or it's best drunk soon.
No. We are doing the orange wine. We don't have the experience with aging more than, let's say, since 2018 was the first vintage. So yeah, maybe 5 or 6 years, and we still have few bottles left of the first vintage 2018, and I don't believe that it's need to be drunk soon because if you work with the wine that you learn the wine to live on its own. So you will not give it sulfites. You leave everything up to the wine, and so the wine can survive on its own. So I believe 5 or 10 years is not a problem. Of course, I don't know. I don't have the experience how this wine is going to taste like in the next 20 years because we don't have wines that old of this particular vineyard, of this particular style. The oldest one we have 6 years, and they are still good. So
Okay. Lovely finish and best food pairing for this wine.
yeah. Food pairing, especially because it's really spicy, so you can pair it really well with, let's say, a little bit of the Asian cuisine, something with something where it's when you pair food and wine, you pair the strength of the food and wine. So it depends how the food is seasoned, and I believe this orange Palava can handle a little bit more seasoning than usual Palava.
So I should say that Wojciech is also a great chef. He's actually cooking the whole menu at his winery. So you can believe him that he knows what he talks about.
Okay. We have one important question or statement from the only one active male here, which is Tomasz. And for me, Palava would be the one of the best varieties for long maceration. What do you think?
Yeah. I believe that for the orange wines in general, at least in Czech Republic, the best varieties I had are orange Palava and Gewürztraminer. These are, for my personal taste, the best. Of course, you can make amazing, probably amazing orange Welsh Riesling, or amazing orange Grüne Veltliner, but I believe that at least me as a winemaker, I would rather make normal Grüne Veltliner than orange one because I enjoy drinking normal Grüne Veltliner more than the orange version of the Grüne. But with Palava and Gewürztraminer, these are definitely the varieties I prefer more in their orange version.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you, Wojciech.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Someone is typing a comment. This is another mail. Hi. Good. There will be also red wine. Well, this depends if you are no active. There will be no webinars. Yes, it is something planned with the red wines. Yes, Clara?
Okay, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wojciech.
Thank you, Vito.
Thank you. Clara, what do you think? The last question.
Yes, we had something like that in our minds, and I already mentioned it should be on rosés and red wines. So
yeah, perhaps if you behave good, guys.
Yes. Well, we leave the decision, Piotr, because he knows you.
Oh, thank you very much. It was really interesting, and I deeply believe we should promote, our Central European wines, being in Central Europe. So, yeah.
So we will definitely cover Blaufränkisch, but also some other grape varieties. Maybe a good Cabernet Moravia could take part of the tasting as well. We will see.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to say at the end that we also are quite active now in the wine in moderation. So be careful with what you choose and what you drink, and how do you care about not only wine, but yourself as well, and with whom you share the wine. Short message.
This was very severe at the very end. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Clara. Thank you, guys. Dziękujemy nashledaną. Yes, Tomasz.
Dziękujemy też za uwagę i życzymy miłego wieczoru wszystkim.
Dziękujemy, Zuzanna. Naprawdę to jest zaskakujące, tak dobrze mówić po polsku. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. And bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.